My name is Paul Tinder, and welcome to the Actor's Track. My wife, Vaughn Taylor, and I have made a living in the industry for years. We've started over 500 episodes of TV shows, some of that daytime TV, so you can really rack up a lot of episodes. On Another World on NBC, I starred in 158 episodes. So we've spent a lot of time in front of a camera. We've done over 400 national commercials. We have 2 feature films that we produced that Lionsgate distributed. So what I want to share with you are some keys that we were taught, that we applied to our career, and it brought us a huge amount of success. And I know that these keys will bring you a huge amount of success also. It's not a mystery how to become successful in the entertainment industry, but it's a process. And if you follow the right steps, which is why we call this the Actor's Track, it is possible to be that amazing thing called a working actor, making a living in the industry without having to have all sorts of side jobs to pay the rent. So the first key that I want to share with you is vision. You hear it in sports a lot, visualizing the end, visualizing winning the race, visualizing yourself on a podium being awarded. Well, that vision is also a reality in the entertainment industry. Can you see yourself being successful on camera or in a theater? If you can't see yourself being successful, you're hoping for it. And hoping for it won't get you there. You have to be able to commit yourself and see yourself sacrificing what needs to be sacrificing. And when I say sacrifice, what I'm talking about is giving yourself permission to fulfill whatever is required by the character in a moment, so that we see the character experiencing that moment in their life, as opposed to sort of holding back and hoping that you can get it with just what you're comfortable with. Doesn't work. Wish it did. It would make it easier to become an actor, but it doesn't work. So that vision is incredibly important, and that's why I put it first in all the things that we're going to talk about today. When I first started off, I want to share something with you. I didn't get into the industry till I was 28 years old. So I ask you, if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever, oldest student I ever had was 60. You're not going to find an expiration date on a dream. You're not going to find an expiration date on you. So you start where you are if you have this passion, and if you can see yourself doing it, because if you can see yourself doing it, you have that fire inside of you that is required to become successful in this industry. The second key that I want to talk to you about is sort of a strange thing, and it's called doing, not feeling. Characters created by the actions you take, not the feelings you have. We can't see your feelings. They're inside you, and an actor uses those feelings, those truths, to commit to taking an action to affect another character. That's doing. Characters created by the actions you take, not the feelings you have. You can't sad me. You can't happy me. You can't do any of those things to me. But what makes an actor successful is this ability to take words that are written, create a truth, and put all the focus on affecting the other character. In acting, there is a truth. It's not about you. It's about the other character. Can you create the emotional truth for the character and use those words to affect the other character? If you can do that, that's doing, and that's what creates character. If you can't do that, if you keep trying to display, well, I'm sad, well, I'm happy, well, I'm irritable, that's about you. That's subjective about you displaying it, and it won't create a truth in your eyes, which has to be there on camera. If that truth isn't in your eyes, we don't believe it. But you know what? If that truth is in your eyes, that manifests itself through the words that you say, and it also manifests in the physical truth of how you play the character physically. There are things called working inside out and outside in. We're going to get into that in some other classes. But this specific thing that I want to talk to you about is doing. Don't think in terms of showing. Think in terms of doing, affecting the other character. And then we see the emotion. We see what motivates you because of the action that you take. Which leads me to the third point that I want to bring up, this third key. And that's how you create character. Character is created by the actions you take. It's not created by a feeling that you have. If you're playing an aggressive character, if you're auditioning for an aggressive character, what do they want to see in the audition? They want to see you taking aggressive actions. If you play the words, it doesn't create that aggressiveness that they need in the character. If you're playing or auditioning for a character that's compassionate, the actions you take, we must see a compassionate actor living their life. If it's fearful, we want to see an actor taking actions that we describe what's happening as he is fearful or she is fearful. So it's the creating character is tied to these actions that we take. If you ever look at a film and you find yourself engrossed in it, you're drawn into it. It's because the actors are using the dialogue to affect one another. If you ever watch a movie that, wow, has cool special effects and CGI, but you're not emotionally drawn into it, you don't care about the character, you watch the show, but you don't really care. That's because they haven't fully created the character in a way that affects the other characters that are in the scene. So creating character is way more than saying, well, I'm angry because I'm going to show you I'm angry and I'm going to say my word's angry. It doesn't connect you. It doesn't create this amazing word that we as actors have to create, and that's chemistry. That's what they're looking for. That's what a casting director is looking for. That's what a director is looking for. That's what a producer is looking for. And if you sort of understand that, then you have a pathway, what we like to call the actor's track, to get you to where you want to go. The fourth thing that I want to talk about is commitment and stamina. I wish there was a shortcut to becoming an actor, but there is not a shortcut to becoming an actor. Everybody grows at their own pace, and the pace that you grow at is totally dependent upon if you will give yourself permission to fulfill what is required by the character. If you want to be comfortable playing the character, you won't do it. You won't become successful, because theater, TV, and film is all wrapped around conflict. So if it's conflict between characters, it doesn't make any difference whether it's comedy or drama. It's always about conflict. And if you don't want to sort of invest yourself in creating that, then you won't become successful in that audition. And then commitment and stamina is about learning these lessons. What is it that I need to do looking at this script to fulfill those moments that have to be fulfilled? Do you have the stamina to work through that? Acting is about exploring how you create character, exploring how in the heck you approach this industry, and exploring what it is that you will give yourself permission to do as a character. We talk in acting a lot about range. You have a personality, and there are people that are successful in the industry playing their personality, but almost all the characters that they play sort of exhibit the same type of quality, the same type of personality, and you can become successful at that. But the only thing you're going to be competitive for are those things that match your personality. But there's all sorts of characters that are out there that may not match your personality, but you, as a physical type, are right to play it. You're not going to learn how to do that overnight. It's going to take a little bit of while. And you know what? In the industry, you're going to have way more no's than you have yeses when you start off. And if you have those no's, do you have the stamina to take that no, and instead of a judgment that it's not right for you, make a commitment that you're going to learn how to create that character. You're going to learn how to play that moment. You're going to give yourself everything you need to maximize your chances for success. But it takes a while. And it's okay that it takes a while, because during that process, you're growing as a human being, you're growing as an actor, and you're understanding what it is that it takes to become successful. That makes sense if you think about it. It's not unlike any other industry or any other job you would ever have. It takes a while. If you're an accountant and you've been an accountant for 10 years, I can guarantee you at that 10-year mark, you're a better accountant than you were when you first started off. If you play sports and you want to, I know people that have gone up to, they almost got into the NBA in basketball. Well, they didn't. But it's not because that they didn't grow through the process. And a lot of the things that you go through in life sometimes slow you down and don't let you have the dream that you would like to have. So the fourth, I just said the fourth. The fifth thing that I want to talk to you about is being likable. Think about this as an industry, as an industry of relationships. If a casting director gives you an audition, don't you think it's logical that they would expect to see you appreciate the opportunity that they've given you? If you get past casting, you get into actually being booked on a show, don't you think that the director wants to see you be appreciative of the opportunity that they've given you, to be likable, to be appreciative, to be respectful, to be dependable, to be on time, to be prepared to do that work, right? That's just logical when you stop to think about it. But I know a lot of actors that have a chip in their shoulder, and they don't get something for a while, and they don't get something for a while, and they start to blame everybody else for the fact that they didn't book the job. Well, maybe they weren't prepared. Maybe they didn't do the work the way that they needed to do the work in order to get cast in that show. I used to audition for people. I don't have a degree in theater. I went through the professional workshop method of learning how to be an actor. Worked with incredible teachers in New York and LA that kicked my fanny and would not let me settle for being okay, but to strive for excellence. I appreciated those people because they didn't pat me on the back until I deserved to be patted on the back. And that's sort of this thing, I appreciated them, and I learned from them because I opened myself up to receive the teaching that they shared with me. They didn't have to let me in that class, but they saw something in me that they wanted to work with to help me achieve the dreams that I had. And I passed that on every time I had an audition. I said, thank you very much for that. There are people that have MFAs out of incredible schools, and they hated me in Hollywood and New York because I kept getting booked, because I didn't expect anything. I worked for everything, and I challenged myself to fulfill every moment that I had to fulfill as a character. And because of that, people responded to my discipline, my determination, my appreciation for every opportunity that they gave me. So there's 5 keys: vision, doing, not feeling, learning how to effectively create character, your commitment, your stamina to not give up. And through it all, through all the no's, remain likable. Why do you hang out with people? Because you like them. Why do you stay away from other people? Because they've got attitudes. There's an actress that I know that said in part of her last year in college was an internship with a very big casting director in New York. And she sat in these auditions and saw them, and she told me that she sat in on this one audition, and this gentleman came in, best voice, best monologue, just killed that audition in his performance. And after they all left, the casting director turned to her and said, hey, who would you cast? Who would you give a call back? And without even thinking, she said, the last guy that came in, it was the best song, the best monologue, the best everything. And the casting director said, you're absolutely right, but we're not going to give him a call back because he's a pain in the ass to work with and nobody wants to work with him. That's reputation. That's credibility. That goes before you in every audition that you do. It goes before you in everything that you do in life. So my challenge to you, stay likable. Go after it. Want it. See yourself doing it. And then you give yourself a chance to really expend the energy required to get there. So thanks very much for sitting in on this, and join us for some other classes as we share secrets to how you pursue the industry, how you pursue creating character, and give yourself a chance for success. We'll see you soon on the Actors Track.